In our last vlog, we'd gone and built a raised bed above our garage in the back of our van in order to house our mountain bikes. I would have hoped by this second vlog everything would have been finished, but it's been taking a lot more planning than what I anticipated. So I'm probably going to split the garage build into several vlogs. This one we're going to call part 2, and this one is about fitting our first fit electrics.
Hi guys, we're Vanlife My Way. My name's Nikki.
And I'm Paul.
We're a husband and wife team who have had many adventures over the years and now are planning to take early retirement and make van life our next adventure.
Coming from a background of equipping vehicles for overland and expedition travel, we hope you'll find our van build of interest as we create a van perhaps better suited to modern van life.
So do come along on our journey as we build our mobile home whilst taking you on some mini adventures in our camper van, Rad the Silver Surfer.
Back when we bought our van, we were fortunate that it was all lined out with plywood. We weren't going to use this plywood in our build, but we were fortunate that we could use this plywood as templates. One of the templates we saved was a section that went over the wheel arch. This gave us a great opportunity to be able to plan out our electrical system. We used that template to mark out onto a thicker board in order to transfer all those electrical components onto something that was a little bit more rigid. Using a sheet of polythene, we were able to trace all of the mounting holes and transfer them to the board. We then used rib nuts into those holes to enable us to bolt the panel to the side of our van. Oh, after what seems to have been an age to get to this stage of building up the rear of our van, what we've managed to do is build a framework to go over the wheel arch and support some electrics. We've built the board that we need to go and cover the side of the van for the electrics to be bolted and mounted to. So what we're just about to do now is spray a little bit more Lanagard rust proofing into the sills before we pop in our sheep's wool and then mount our board.
Suck on it. Ew, careful, careful, careful. Ooh. Ugh.
So you've seen me use this Lanagard in other places before. It is actually made from sheep's wool, and I've used it under the vehicles, and I'm just squirting some now between the inner wheel arch and into the sills, because water does get inside there, and that's why we're using sheep's wool. One of the reasons why we're using sheep's wool and not deciding to use a vapor barrier is because regardless of what you use, these areas are going to get wet. So sheep's wool can hold moisture and hold water and then release it when you vent. So we're building lots of ventilation into our insulation. So what I'm doing now is just filling all of these cavities with Lanagard before we then stuff them with a bit of sheep's wool. You'll see this running on the outside. Not only here, but Lanagard is dripped from the whole of the wheel arch seam. So if that's how much Lanagard can get out, just imagine how much water can get in, and that's why we're not using a vapor barrier in this build. If you can see all these joints here, all these seams, now these vehicles are galvanised, but all those edges aren't because they've been cut. So that's why we're protecting all those before we finally hide it all behind our insulation.
Snug as a bug.
So what you got there, Nick?
Sheep's wool.
Sheep's wool. Where do you get sheep's wool from, Nick? Don't say sheep.
Stupid question. It comes from chimney sheep, and they use it to insulate chimneys, and it's, yeah, I don't know, something like that. And they do loft insulations and stuff with it as well, and cavity wall insulations.
And van insulations.
And van insulations.
We made sure all of our cavities were loose filled with wool before we cut out larger pieces to line our panels. With some sticky back Reflectix mounted to our board, the board was bolted to our van, trapping the wool firmly in place. We'd used some stainless steel dome-headed bolts, and Nikki found this job really interesting.
I didn't do anything. Cracked all by itself.
To support my battery bank and create a wheel arch cover, I used some more extruded aluminium from KJM. This is in 30 by 30 BR section and strong enough not only to support my batteries and electrics, but also support my slides for my mountain bikes. The build started by working out where I was going to put my batteries, and I was very fortunate by luck that the space I had could support 3 100 amp hour energy batteries. In my van I have 2 separate systems with 2 separate solar panels, 2 separate charge systems and 2 separate battery banks. My largest system is responsible for charging my 2 100 mAh energy batteries for supplying my house power. This is done through 2 Victron units, a DC to DC charger which takes power from my engine's alternator, and an MPPT charger which takes power from my 2 main solar cells on the roof of the van. My smallest system is run by a handy little CTEC unit, which is an MPPT charger and DC to DC charger built into one. This takes power from my smaller solar cells at the front of the van, and as it's not recommended to mix smaller cells with bigger cells, this was one of the reasons for using this CTEC unit. Another reason to use the CTEC unit is that unlike the Victron system, the CTEC unit will also charge the van battery, so if left for long periods of time unattended, as it is with this build, I can always be reassured that my van battery will always remain charged. The CTEC will be supplying charge to one single 100 amp hour energy battery, and this battery I've dedicated to use with my inverter to charge my mountain bikes. This system I wanted to keep separate as I didn't want the charging of my bikes to compromise my house power. So here's my charge system installed on little switched fuses here. Couple of reasons: it's great to have the units fused, but it's also great to be able to turn them on and off should I need to take them out to do any maintenance. There's the CTEC, which I've got running. I've only got it going down to just a standard lead acid battery at the moment. The reason why I've got it running is that that's taking care of my van battery at the moment, keeping it charged while this work's going on. That is a really handy little unit. Only got a 20 amp output, but saying that, it's such a neat little unit, great for small installs. So that pretty much ends vlog 2 on the installation of our charging systems. Before I can build up this unit though any further, what I need to do is take it out to add a little bit more strength to the floor for the weight that this unit is going to be carrying. It's going to be carrying 3 energy batteries in there, and on there, with our inverter on the top, and also along this bottom we will be putting one of the slides in order to carry our bikes that will be sliding in and out of here. So this unit is going to be very heavy, and I don't trust that the wood alone on the bottom of the floor is going to be strong enough. So in vlog 3 of my garage van build, I'm going to be using some box section aluminium in strategic places across the floor to give some support to all those units. Wish me luck. For charging my 2 100 mAh energy batteries for supplying my house power. This is done through 2 Victron units. Is that understandable?
There are little bits in there that I'm like, what? What's an MPPT controller?
Maximum power point tracking.
Really?
Yeah.
And what's the DC to DC charger do?
Do you want to go in the van?
Yeah, sure.
Right, all of this in our van is responsible just for our charge systems. This is a solar charger and this is a DC to DC charger. These two are linked together,
yeah,
and they will charge 2 of our house batteries.
All does the job of both of those.
So this smaller unit does the job of both of these units. Is that alright? Does that make more sense to it?
That's made excellent sense. So that little A that's on that CTEC unit, is that alternator?
Yeah.
So why is the little A button not on then? If it's solar, is this?
Because the engine's not on. Because the alternator's not turning, so it's not producing power. So the unit recognises that it's not producing power.
How do you know if it's sending power back to the van battery?
I don't know, it doesn't. It says so in the bump that it does, but there's no indication on this unit that it is doing that.
See, I would have thought that if that A light came on, that the solar panel's sending power back to the, but it doesn't work in
And the
reverse.
unit's working in reverse, so it probably has something to do with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get you now.
Yeah.
It's come on. Why has it done wrong?
Oh, it has come on as A. So you might be right.
Oh, I might be right.
You might be right.
That was a good guess.
It might be going back and charging in that direction.
What the?
Well,
What?
either that or it's broken and we don't know what it's
Magic.
doing.
See,
But that's our shore power in.
that's not doing anything yet.
But it's not going to this box, it'll be going to another box that's just here. Okay. Is that better? Is that better?
That's really good. I enjoyed that.
Oh, in that case, you know what we're going to do now?
What's that? Make me do
Yeah, go on then.
So, sit testing time.
Yeah.
Right then. This one, no, this one's easy because it says solar on it. This one's taking power from the 2 big solar panels on the top of the van.
Uh-huh.
This one takes power from 2 batteries, which comes from the alternator.
No, it takes power from the alternator.
Takes power from the alternator and supplies it to the 2 batteries?
Yeah.
Yes! These 2 will control the house power,
Yeah.
i.e. van power, which will be fridge, cooker, heaters, pumps, all that malarkey. This one
Yeah.
is a mini version of those 2 together,
Yeah. Well, that explained it better than I did.
and this one takes power from the alternator from the van battery as we're driving to charge a separate battery. I
Yeah.
think this one better.
Yeah.
And the separate battery is going to be just designated for
I like that word as well. Why didn't I use that word?
just for running the inverter,
Yeah.
which will charge our e-bikes
Yeah.
and laptop, camera, drone, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Which we're not going to be using all the time, hence it's only got 1 battery.
I think if you're charging up those systems, I would be frightened of compromising my house batteries.
House battery's important. You need water and you need heating
Yeah.
and you need fresh food.
All the others are just secondary, aren't
And all
they?
the just ancillary stuff that isn't life-threatening.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, I'll tell you.
you live without your camera.
One more thing which is quite important as well
Yes.
is that having the 2 systems, I'm putting a bridge between one system and the other that's switched. So if one system fails, then I can switch it to another system. In other words, if one or the 2 of these units fail or the battery fails, I'll be able to switch that seater unit to the house power. We will then forget about using charging for the bikes. We'll then become reliant on that unit for all of our house
Where's
power.
that going to go?
It's pretty much all installed already.
What are we doing now?
I'm taking it all out.
What the? Why?
Because I have to take all this lot out now to take the floor up to go on with the next video.
But you don't have to take it all out, do you?
No, I'm just taking this out and the floor up and then get some strength in the floor so I can put it all back again.
Back in.
Yes.
In it goes. In it goes.
Right, I'm just turning this off.